If this does not convince you to stop using dating apps, then I don't know what will. Because today I will be sharing a horror story that happened to me while I was using dating apps. And I'm not only sharing this to highlight how horrible dating apps are, but also so that you can learn from my mistakes, because I might have done some really bad decisions right then, and I might have borderline broken the law. But this happened a while ago, so I think it is now safe to talk about it because there is the statute of limitations, so I don't think me or anyone else can now get into trouble for sharing this. But this story basically starts out with me being on vacation and exploring this new city that I have never been in before. And I match with this girl on a dating app. The dating app is Badoo, which I think is similar to Tinder. And this girl seemed really fine, like really good looking. I don't have any pictures of her. Apparently you are not allowed to ever share pictures from that dating app, but we started chatting on that dating app and eventually we exchanged phone numbers. And we would start chatting on my phone and we would set up a date in the city. And I was like, yes, I'm going on a date with this pretty girl. And I felt this pride and I was like, guess who's going on a date today? That's right, this attractive man over here. And I low-key wanted to play some 80s music to celebrate how awesome I thought I was. Or I don't remember if I played 80s music at that time, but I played some music anyways to like celebrate how awesome I was. But a few hours before I was supposed to go to the city, during that day, I asked her like, hey, when and where will we meet? And then she texts that she wants me to meet up in her house. And she planned for us to stay in the house so that her friend will come and bring Molly and acid. And I thought to myself, oh, I'm gonna do a three-way, a threesome. And this like brought back my old toxic self where I wanted to sleep around with a bunch of girls and break their hearts and do drugs so that I could feel like this bad boy. So I was all in. Now, I do not have a car and I failed my driver's license, so I basically asked some people that I got to know there to basically drive me to her house. And they drove me into this area, but the area was like guarded by this huge gate. And I don't think I was able to like open the gate, so the people just dropped me off there. And I went out of the car, and so I text this girl and I'm like, hey, I arrived. And this girl started panicking and she was like, why are you so early? I haven't prepared yet. I haven't like fixed my hair and stuff yet. I told you to come in a few hours. And I was, as the polite man that I am, I was like, no, I can wait. I can come later. And the girl was still like panicking and I did not understand why. I was like, I can just come later. And so I just decided to wait there and walk around the area and explore. And I really looked forward to meeting this girl. I planned to later come home to like my siblings and literally tell them, hey, guess what? I slept with a little Jenny. That's an inside joke. But so anyways, I walked around, I explored the area, and I texted this girl like, hey, when do you want to come and stuff. And that's when the girl informs me that I am the one that should bring the substances, like Molly and acid. She wants me to drive to her friend and bring the substances from the friend and then drive back to the girl. She told me that I need to find an ATM and basically get cash, and I would give the cash to the friend. So basically buy the stuff from the friend, and she would pay me back, and she would pay me like more money. To most people this would probably seem suspicious, but to me I felt like I was being in an action movie, like this superhero or a supervillain. I felt like I was James Bond on a mission. I need to drive there, acquire substances, drive back. I felt like freaking James Bond, and it was really interesting. But did I ever think that all of this was too good to be true? That this good-looking girl wanted to sleep with me? No, because NBA Youngboy managed to get like 12 biological children with different women. And that guy can't even sing. So if he is able to have sex with a bunch of women, then so can I thought to myself. And so I stopped by a gas station that I found in that area, and I stayed there for a while, and I was hungry, and so I found the perfect food in the gas station, a bar of Snickers. Because the commercial literally says like, oh, you're not you when you're hungry or something. Get a Snickers. So Snickers is literally the go-to food when you're hungry. But then I had a problem. How would I be able to get a ride from the gas station to the friend's house? Because I did not have a car, and the people that previously drove me, I did not want to tell them, oh, hey, look, this is embarrassing. Actually, this girl wants me to take me here. And they already went somewhere else, and I did not want to bother and interrupt like their plans. So I had to take an Uber. The problem with Uber is that it's a little bit expensive. So the girl recommended me like this cheaper alternative to Uber, like Bolt or something. And when I was in the gas station, I actually had phone calls with the girl, and she had a female voice, so that way I knew that this was an actual girl and not like a dude impersonating a girl. So I thought to myself, yep, this is real. This is not too good to be true. I am legitimately talking with a good-looking girl, and of course I am. NBA Youngboy, once again, he managed to have sex with a bunch of women and he cannot even sing, so if he can do that, then so can I. So there was nothing too extraordinary going on here, I thought to myself. And so then I ordered this Bolt that would pick me up from the gas station and drive me to her friend. And now I was in a hurry, because while the Bolt car was coming, I had to quickly go to the ATM that was in the gas station, and I had to figure out how to get cash. So I was on this another James Bond mission under a limited time. So I quickly used the ATM and I managed to get cash. I emerged victorious, and then I went out. I got this cash and I was like, kind of like flipping all the cash that I had, and I'm like, yep, this is what I'm gonna use now. And then I walk outside of the gas station and the car shows up. I hop into the car and then I drive to the friend. And then the car drops me off and I go out, and there's like this house complex, and the door opens and this friend comes out, and this is a dude. So I was a little bit disappointed and I was like, oh, I guess I'm not gonna have a threesome. At least my body count is not gonna be plussed by 2, it's only gonna be plussed by 1. But so the guy shows up and I give him the cash and he gives me like the Molly and acid or whatever it was. And the guy asks me questions, he kind of tries to get to know me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not from the area I am visiting. And that's when the guy tells me like, hey, you should not be here, you should be very careful, this is a bad area. And then I look around, and that's when I realize, holy crap, I'm basically in the hood. I ended up in the hood. And the guy keeps telling me, yeah, you have to be careful, this is a bad area. And then he goes back, we say goodbye to each other, and I order another bolt that will then take me back to this girl. And while I am waiting for this bolt, I am a little bit scared, of course, because I am basically in the hood. So I try to be wary of my surroundings. I avoid staying in only one place, and I constantly walk, and I walk in huge circles so that I would give off an illusion to other people that I'm walking to my house or something. And I do that. I keep walking around in huge circles and stuff until the car comes. And when the car comes, I immediately hop into the car, I close the door, and I sit there, and I'm like, yes, I am safe. Another side quest achieved. And I made myself comfortable in the car, feeling like this James Bond. And the car starts driving, and I have the substances in my pocket, and I call this girl again, and I'm like, okay, I'm on my way to you. And the girl says, be careful. And then the call ends. We hang up. And the car keeps driving, and I start feeling nervous once again. And so I text this girl, wait a second, because there was this huge gate that was guarding the area that the girl lived in. And so I text her, wait a second, are you sure that I will be able to get the substances through the gate without being caught and without getting into trouble? The girl does not respond. But at that time I don't think much about it. So I keep texting her and she does not respond. And then the car arrives, outside of that gate, in the same place where the people previously dropped me off. And so I text this girl hey, I arrived. She doesn't answer. I try to call her, but she does not respond. And I keep trying to call her, trying to text her, but I don't get any answer. And so eventually I tell the driver of the car, hey, this is a little bit awkward. The girl is not responding. And the driver is okay, I cannot stay here for a very long time, so I'm just gonna drop you off now and you can wait outside. And I'm understandable. And this wasn't winter, it was really good weather outside, so I have no problem going outside of the car. And then I stand outside and I keep texting her and she still does not answer. But I arrive pretty late in the day, so the gate is no longer maintained. There is no guard standing there. There is nobody on duty. So the gate is basically unattended and it's closed and no one can open it. So I try to text this girl, hey, can you open the gate, please? I arrived. She does not answer me. I try to call her. She does not answer me. And so I get to this box, electronic box with everyone's names. And I knew on the dating app that this girl's name was Hannah, but I do not know the last name. So I just try to look for Hannah on this electronic machine with the names of everyone that was living in the area. And I think I tried to call them, or I don't remember what I was trying to do. And I keep calling her on the phone and texting her, and I'm hey, I arrived, please answer. And she's not answering. And it starts getting pretty late outside. And eventually, I just look at the gate. And I'm wait a second. I can just walk around the gate, and then I will get inside. And that's what I did. I walked around, and then I kept walking, and that's how I ended up, how I successfully got into like this neighborhood where this girl was supposed to live, at this girl's address, and I walk all the way to her house, and I walk towards the door, and I ring the bell, no one answers. I knock the door, no one answers. So I call her on the phone, and I'm like, hey, I arrived. I'm literally standing outside of the door. She's not answering. And I start to get furious. I'm like, hey, I'm literally standing outside the door like crazy. Why are you not answering me? Still no answer. I try to look inside the house, like through the door. It's dark in the house. So I just keep knocking. I keep banging on the door like crazy. I keep ringing the doorbell, and I hope that the darkness, that someone will switch on the light and this girl will show up, but nothing happens. Now, I do have some substances on me, like the drugs, and it's not very often that you get a chance to actually possess like those psychedelics. So I take a little sample and I like literally taste it. I feel no effect, probably because I did not take a big enough amount, but I don't do that because obviously I want to save the rest to do it together with a pretty girl. But so I keep standing there, banging on the door like a fool, ringing on the doorbell like a fool, calling her on my phone, and my battery is about to die out on my phone. So I get really furious, I get livid, then I'm like, hey, I am here, why are you not answering? And then I walk to surrounding houses, to like the neighbors, and there I ring on the doorbell and stuff, and some elderly people come out and they are like, hello? And I'm like, sorry to bother you. Do you know a girl here that her name is Hannah? She's supposed to be 20 years old. She lives somewhere here. She's blonde. She like I try to like describe her based on the information I got on the dating app. And all of them were like, sorry, we don't know anyone named Hannah in this area, like any girl like that. And the man that lives next door to this girl's address tells me that this house belongs to like a Dutch family and they are currently abroad or something. I think they are not at home. And so I keep doing that, and eventually I just decide to give up and call it quits for my own good and safety, because my phone is literally about to die. And so what do I do with the substances that I have in my pocket? Well, I think to myself, this girl really wanted the substances, so I sweep them like under the rug outside of the door of that house, of the girl's address house. And then I look on like the dating app, and I'm still furious and livid to why she was not responding. And I see that her profile disappears. So she basically unfollowed me. She unmatched me. And that's when I realize I've been played. I've been fucking played this whole time. And so then I walk back. I walk back towards the gate, and it's really dark. It's raining, it's even thundering, and my phone is about to die. So I run, like fearing for my life, heart pounding, and I run towards the gate. And then I pass the gate, once again I run around, and then I run out, I cross the street, there's like no actual pedestrian crossing, so I have to like look, no car coming, and I quickly YOLO across the street, and I make it to the other side alive, and there is a bar on the other side. And I am unable to get inside the bar. The doors are closed because there is like an event going on in the bar. It's like specifically reserved for like a specific event for specific guests. But I don't need to go inside the bar because I still get Wi-Fi. I get free Wi-Fi from being nearby the bar, and I sit down on a bench that is outside the bar. And so I have free Wi-Fi on my phone, and I only have like 5% battery left on my phone, mind you. And I am unable to order like the Bolt anymore because apparently they can only go like short distances or something. So I have to order an Uber, which is expensive, but it's like I have no other choice. I have to order an Uber, and so I order an Uber back to the place I'm staying in, and it says red Toyota coming in a while. And then I sit there and I keep waiting, and my phone is about to die, and I wait there, still no car coming. And so I look at my phone, the battery is 1%, and it says red Toyota coming in 1 minute. And then my phone goes black completely, and my phone is not working anymore. And so I keep waiting there. And at that time I don't have any watch on me because my watch that I had back then broke. So I have no perception of time, but it feels like an eternity is passing by, and I'm like, this is not a minute. A minute does not feel this long. And so I start being worried. I am sitting there in the middle of nowhere in an unfamiliar area. My phone doesn't work anymore, so I cannot call for help anymore. And it's dark, it's raining, and it's thunder. And I am about to break down. I am about to have an emotional meltdown and literally like storm into that bar and not give a fuck that there's some like event going on there, and like being like, hey, please help me, like a lunatic basically. And that's when in the last minute a red car approaches me, and the door opens, and the driver is like, hey, I am looking for Matthew, and he calls my name, and I'm like, hallelujah, thank goodness. And I sit in the car, and this driver is so nice, he is so kind. We end up talking about some like really interesting topics all the way back home, and we have a really good time together. And I feel like this TV character that finally is safe, finally got rescued from like this dangerous James Bond mission and is now sitting in a truck. This was not a truck, but that's how I felt. And then I make safely back home. And then people that I have told that I'm going on a date, they ask me, how did the date go? And I'm like, horrible. This girl was bad news. I'm not using dating apps anymore. If I'm gonna meet the love of my life, it's gonna be through mutual friends, common interests, and that kind of stuff. Because dating apps are a horrible idea. And I feel really bad about myself. Because I think of like the Christian friends that I have, that I probably just let down. I was about to do drugs and like engage in this like one night stand with this random girl, which is like the most haram thing you can imagine in religion. And I felt so much pride that I was about to do it. I was like, I am aware of the consequences I'm making. I am aware of the fact that it's gonna be harder for me to create real relationships with women if I choose to sleep around. I am aware of the fact that it's gonna be hard for me to basically form genuine connections with people. I am aware of the fact that when I am on my deathbed, I will probably regret all the choices that I made. I am aware of the fact that I'm probably not gonna go to heaven in the afterlife. I was aware of like all those consequences of my actions. But I was okay with that. I was like, I am a bad boy. I am a rule breaker. I am a snake. My literal like Chinese year animal is snake. I am born in 2001. That is the year of the snake. I am a snake. I am a backstabber. I am a betrayer. To all my Christian friends that I probably have just let down, I warned them. I warned them all that I'm gonna ruin my life one day. And they did not listen. And I was like, I'm aware of the consequences that this will have. But I want to be happy. I want that like short-term happiness. I want that dopamine. I want to feel proud of myself. I want to feel like an attractive F-boy, like this alpha male. And I'm aware of the consequences that it might have. But I am okay with that. I've decided to take on all the possible consequences. And I did not feel bad at all until I failed. I ended up feeling really bad about myself only because I wasn't able to have sex. If I had sex and did substances with this girl, I would not have regretted anything. I would have felt enormous pride over my worldly actions, over my degenerate choices in life that I had just made. The only reason why I felt bad was because I failed. I felt so pathetic. It was like this, I'm not sorry for what I did. I'm only sorry for getting caught. Or more specifically in my case, I'm only sorry because I failed. I realized how broken I am as a person. I realized how corrupt I am. I realized how bad of a person I generally am. I have no moral compass. I just do whatever makes me happy, even if it means I might possibly hurt a lot of people and betray a lot of people's trust. A lot of people were rooting for me that I would become this like good, faithful Christian, and I'm out here wanting to do drugs and wanting to have casual sex with a random pretty girl. And I felt really bad that night. But the next day, I realized maybe there is a chance, maybe there is a glimmer of hope for a lost soul like me. Because that's when I realized, wait a second, today is Sunday. This means I can go to a church. I can confess, like, what I did and see if I deserve to be forgiven or not. And this was a church in an unfamiliar area, in the middle of nowhere. But I decided, this is my only chance at redemption. And so I have to get outside my comfort zone. And so I decided to basically walk into this random church and confess pretty much what I did. And this man that basically opened the church for me and stuff, he was so kind. He explained to me that like in the Bible it says that we all are rebels. We all, deep down, we all want to go against God's will. We are born rebels. And that's why we sin. That's why we make bad life decisions. And so you have to repent and all that. And this man invited me home. He invited me to lunch. I basically got free lunch at his place. And we talked about life. We had some deep conversations. And this man was so kind to me. And that was a sign that I was forgiven. The very fact that I decided to actually step outside my comfort zone and walk to that church in this unfamiliar area, that showed, that proved that I am not the snake that I thought I was. That maybe, after all, I'm not necessarily meant to ruin my life and betray all the people's trust. Perhaps there is some good in me deep down that actually wants to be like this faithful, good man.